Welcome to the podcast. Um, it's just me and Dave. It was meant to be Brad, but I've gotten to the point of drunk that I didn't even. Well, I basically just got off at the wrong stop. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't had a drink for about 2 months, and that drove me to drink. Dave, you all right?
Yeah, mate, it's about as unfortunately, I think we've hit the first point in the season where I unfortunately haven't got many positives to come back on. So this could well be the first pod of the season, which might remind people of League One.
Hmm.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm all right, I suppose.
If you want to be feeling positive about stuff, um, I'm far too drunk for it to begin with, so I'll probably say things that I should edit out, but probably won't. And I like look, if you didn't want to listen to it, it's fine. We got beat 5-1 at home with Stoke. And I'm gonna be completely blunt with you. That's kind of how this podcast is gonna go. Dave, like I said, we got beat 5-1 off Stoke. I've honestly I've got myself obliterated here because that hurt today. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that hurt today. We were just shit. And there's tons of stuff we can dig into, and there's tons of reasons for it, which are so built from right up at the top, right up until the players on the pitch today where it went wrong. But I'm going to chuck the question to you. Of course I am. Where did it go wrong today, Dave?
Oh, we've had some interesting messages going around in our WhatsApp group, haven't we? And
Well, I got off on
I
the wrong
kind
stop to begin with. We were meant to start this at about 10, and I got off at the wrong stop. So that's where we're at this minute in time.
that's
To be
true.
fair, though, I was listening to Kiss to cheer myself up. And what song was it again? Crazy Nights came on. And I was like, you
Great
know
tune.
what? I'm staying on this. I'm staying on this train.
There's a bit of an analogy for being a Sunderland fan there, isn't it?
These are
Crazy nights
crazy, 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 crazy.
and staying on the train even though you know you're meant to get off. Oh Jesus.
I always
Um
thought Kiss had lots of sexual innuendos. It turns out they're just a metaphor for supporting Sunderland. But there we go.
and I tell you what, everyone thought this was going to be all negative Nellies, but no chance. We've just found a positive within it.
Listen to
Um
Kiss.
listen, yeah, well, where do you even begin to pick that apart? Ross in the WhatsApp group earlier said about Mowbray is getting his selection so wrong. I'm sure there's people out there who's going to agree with that. I think my comment to that was it's literally, and I apologize because you always say this back to front. So, but the theory stays the same. Trying to fit round pegs in square holes, it just doesn't work. And he's been trying to find an answer to scoring goals. And unfortunately, listen, Stoke was probably one of the easier of the next of the 5 games. So that doesn't fucking bode well for a start. Um, it was at home, 43,000 fans. Yeah, I'd imagine, and I haven't seen any of the press conferences or anything yet, but I'd imagine Mowbray is probably honing in on that because he can't have found too many positives on the field. Listen, where do you start? Ahmad looks a little bit leggy, a little bit lost, as if we can't play to his strengths at the minute. And that's probably, you've got to give a little bit of credit to opposition who have probably worked out how to defend against him. Gelhardt, he's a mile away. He's an absolute mile away.
Aye,
And we knew
we've
that.
sat on the fence with that, haven't we? With Gelhardt, look, Gelhardt is what 20. Um, he's gonna learn and stuff like that. But you cannot. Here's the thing, right? And I know this is gonna pee people off, but whatever. This is where people unsubscribe. Um, I know Speakman's done a load of good. I know that he's messed up with the striker thing. But take the Sunderland thing out of the equation, right? He's banged on all the way back to last January about player welfare and making sure that you're looking after players. Even back I think it was Tom Flanagan he talked about, and he was sending his contractors up at the end of the season. And they had a chance to move to Shrewsbury and stuff like that, and how he wants to. He's also spoke about the younger players and making sure we look after them right and all that kind of stuff. He's chucked Gelhardt in the worst situation he could. I'd be fuming if I was Leeds because they've chucked basically a number 10. He's not a striker. I don't care what anyone says. We've had 6-ish games now, I think, to judge him. He's not a centre forward. I think alongside Stewart or like as a number 10, maybe in the Pritchard role, he might be all right, actually, to be honest. Because you can see there's like something there. He's obviously not a bad football. He plays for Leeds. Like, he scored goals in the Premier League. Not many, but he scored goals in the Premier League, like, which is more than most of the strikers that we've had at the club this season can say. And we saw how like outsourced Ellis Sims looks in the Premier League. And Sims has scored goals, like, a beat only 3, I think, in the Premier League. But like, why have we chucked him into a situation which is just not going to benefit him at all? Like, you kind of go on about like benefiting players and looking after like young lads and showing, like, giving them a platform to work on and all that kind of stuff. If you're just going to like throw them under the bus, like, the kid's not a centre forward. He's just not. Like, he's not. He doesn't play like a centre forward. He doesn't look like a centre forward. He doesn't look like he could score 15 goals a season, let alone the 4 or 5 that we probably need. He's nothing like Ross Stewart. That's not really his fault. But like, he's just not a striker. And I don't know who decided that he would be a striker. And if I'm completely honest with you, I don't think they've signed him as a striker because obviously when we brought him in, Roscoe was fit. I think they brought him in as someone who can complement Roscoe in like a number 10 role and maybe like off the wings, like a Diallo or a Roberts or something like that. And then Stewart's got injured and they've gone, oh, just stick him up front. I mean, let's go back to that interview before. Sunderland don't play with a 9. The way we play is not dependent on a 9. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Like, our centre forward, Ross Stewart, scored 26 goals last season. Right? So if we're not dependent on playing that in a 9, and the 10 goals you got this season in like 11 games or something. So if we're not dependent on Ross Stewart, I hold back on it. And I know people are going to hate it. I know people are going to hate it because I know that you can't have nuance. I know that it's one way or the other. You either think Speakman's amazing or you think he's an absolute arse. I'm a bit in the middle. I think he's brought in some brilliant players. I think he's done a great job. But like, we got beat 5-1 off Stoke. And I'm sorry, like, a lot of it for me comes down to the fact that like the team was too young today. It's like it. I mean, look, let's talk about team selection, right? Before I go off on a tangent for an hour, because I'm probably going to do that. We kind of went through the Coventry game last week, Dave, right? And we said, look, the midfield got overrun a little bit. And it's not like Mishu or Daniel's fault. Look, the kids, they are young lads. They're going to make mistakes. We'll come on to Daniel because we kind of can't avoid that today, unfortunately. Sorry, Dan. But we said it got overrun a little bit, and we said we might have liked maybe Luke O'Nien in there, who's, you know, not the best midfielder in the world, but he offers a bit of steel and a bit of energy, I guess. And I can't quite get my head around Mowbray deciding that Dan Neil on his own was the answer. Like, the team selection was wrong as well. There's tons of reasons to blame today, and we're not going to get through all of them and going back on all of them, the reasons for today's result. It's kind of a podcast that is a podcast on its own and probably not worth it, to be honest, because it is just one game in the context of an entire season. But we'll react as best as we can. The team selection was wrong today for me, Dave, and I knew that from the start. I'm not just like, it's not hindsight. Like, you cannot watch that game last week and go, you know what the answer is? Just take Mishu out and play Daniel on his own. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to know what they've analysed to make it think that. I don't really. All I can think is he thought that our possession percentages would have been that much higher, that the ball would have been in their final or in our final third more often than anything else. And then but the problem that you've got with that is, listen, I think everyone's probably going to sit there and say, "Oh, I've been waiting for Dave and Graham to go on about this and talk about." And trust me, I've been enjoying being proved wrong. It doesn't bother me. Like as long as Sunderland are winning, as long as Sunderland listen, this is probably the first time this season that I can really go. Listen, not only have we been beaten, but we've been absolutely embarrassed.
We've been twatted at home by Alex Neil. And Stoke are not a good team. They weren't good. They weren't good today. Bristol City were a better side than that.
Yeah, massively.
Stoke went outstanding today. They did the fucking bare minimum.
Yeah, and I just think when you look at the team and in terms of being out of possession, like I don't think Gelhardt closed us down the ball particularly well. I don't think Jack Clark's the best at it, although I think he was probably best of the forward five today.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Roberts presses the ball very well. I don't think Pritchard presses it very well. And Ahmad, yes, I agree, he's one of the better ones. And the simple fact of the matter is the thing that, or the person who brings all that together, whether people want to tell me that I shouldn't be caught up on it and I shouldn't be blaming Speakman and stuff like that, the person who brings it all together and the reason that we all wanted to sign a new contract and give him the money that he wants, albeit without like absolutely ruining our wage structure and stuff like that. If he wanted 20 grand, give him 16. The simple answer is we miss Ross Stewart every time we don't play him. It's as simple as that. And it's from a defensive point of view, based on the fact that we defend from the front.
We said that weeks ago, to be fair. And I know people are going to go, "Oh, it's easy for you to say that now." We said that weeks ago that we miss Ross Stewart, not just in the goal scoring thing. And look, I've said this before. The success of this podcast, I couldn't give two hoots about. I'm not bothered if no one listens to us. I don't give a shit. I could not care less. The success of Sunderland Association Football Club, I hugely care about. That governs my daily week. My week. that governs my week. You're going to get honesty because I've had far too many whiskies. And like, we said that ages ago. Like, I love being proven wrong. I didn't fancy Tony Mowbray. I thought Alex Neil leaving was the worst thing that ever happened in the world. I thought not signing a striker was the wrong thing. I've been right in some, I've been wrong in others. Like, and that's fine. What I care about is Sunderland doing well. But like there's loads of reasons, and I don't think normally you can probably pinpoint Sunderland doing not well this season to not having a striker. There's loads more stuff at it. But the fact that Ross goes missing, we don't defend as well from the front. We actually don't, and you do defend as a team. And look, that's not the reason we lost today. The reason we lost today was our defending was absolutely crap. The team selection was wrong. Players on the pitch, I know they've got a lot of credit in the bank, but they did not have the right attitude today. They're down tools, and that's not acceptable. That isn't acceptable. I don't care if you play 35 good games a season. If you're down tools for one game, it's not acceptable at this football club. It never has been, and it never will be. And they're down tools today. But I suppose if we're taking into it, why did they down tools? Did they feel the game was lost? Yes, probably. I also think the confidence has been eroded from the past few weeks. I got annoyed at Diallo today. I wanted to bring up Diallo because he's been rubbish for about 5 weeks. But you know what? I actually watched him today and tried to understand why he was rubbish. There was one point, to be fair to him, where he got the ball, beat two players, got in the box, and there was nobody there, and he had to double back. And you could see he was visibly frustrated because there's nothing to hit. And like, look, you can't replicate Ross Stewart. It's never going to happen. And I'll repeat till I'm blue in the face, that wasn't the reason we lost today. You don't lose 5 goals because you don't have a good striker. It's part of it, but whatever. But there's nothing to hit. There's nothing to relieve the pressure. There's nothing to press. You cannot go through more than half the season without centre forward. You can't. Like, it's stupid. Like, and how people have been convinced that it's a normal thing? I don't know. I don't know. But that's just one of the reasons today, right? Like I don't want to labour on it too much, but it is one of the reasons we lost last week and the week with the Rotherham game midweek, and one of the reasons we lost today. The team selection's another reason we lost. There's a lot of thoughts I have on why we lost essentially today. For me as well, though, and I'm loath to criticise these boys because I like them. Like, I really like them. Like, all of them, just about. But the attitude was wrong today. They down tools at 2-0 down for me. And I don't think that's right. And I can't decide if it was a case of down in tools or if it was confidence from the past few games and the fact that they feel like, as Mowbray said last week, are we playing without the right tools to win a game? But Dave, obviously, don't know if I'm right, mate, but have the players' confidence been knocked by the sheer fact that even Tony Mowbray is coming out and saying last week, we don't have the tools required to win football games?
It certainly can't help matters, can it? It's it's probably him putting a little bit of pressure on people above. It's probably him trying to appease fans because there'll be a lot of fans thinking the same. Listen, that's going to do a lot of harm, the way that we've been beat today, and the fact that it's three defeats on the bounce. And I've been thinking all afternoon. I've been at work tonight and busy as hell, but I'm thinking to myself, how do you come out of it? And I've just suddenly thought to myself, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, by the way, but listen, he'll either become a genius or an idiot because of it. But just because he made a joke about it in a press conference, and I genuinely think he probably would, but I just wonder if putting the old smiling assassin up top for a game where we don't expect anything whatsoever, i.e. possibly Burnley or something, I just wonder if having 09 up there, just simply because of his work rate, and could he hold the ball up? Because so somebody tweeted today, and I couldn't quite bite my tongue enough, but someone said the reason that we got beat today wasn't because of a centre forward, and you've just alluded to it. I agree that that's not the sole reason. Really frustrating when a centre forward, who, yeah, I agree, we've established isn't a centre forward, can't let the ball stick. It's just disgusting. And that's basic. That's really, really basic. Forget about the whole pressing and the transition and whatever else. Just holding onto the ball and not trying, when you're under a bit of pressure or the game's not quite going your way, just asking your centre forward to draw a foul and win us a free kick or whatever. That's just basic. Absolutely basic. And listen, that's probably where we've gotten wrong today more than anything else. The basics. The basics were minging.
I wanted to discuss Dan Neil. I don't like discussing Dan Neil because I really like him. And I know I'm not going to say something positive here, right? But we spoke about it a few times, and it was only about 4 weeks ago he was saying how good he was playing, because he was. I think on the ball, he's got a lovely range of passing. I think he's a lovely footballer. But how many times this season is he going to lose it on the edge of his own area? I think the first few weeks, when he did it against Coventry, and he did it against Sheffield United, got himself sent off. I can kind of accept it. I'm not happy about it. I can kind of accept it with the sheer fact that he's a young kid. It's his first season in the Championship. I think he's only 21, 22 at best. So I know he's not like an aging pro and he's going to make mistakes and learn. But I've seen about 6 times he's done it this season. He's done it again today. And look, at 1-0, you've always got a chance. And he's done that early doors, second half, and conceded because of his mistake. Like, that wasn't good play from Stoke. It was just a stupid mistake. And it's again when he's turned and thought he'd had too much time. In August, September, October almost, I can kind of accept those mistakes being made. We're now like 7 months in the season and he's making the same mistakes. Like, look, he's been hung out dry a little bit by being put in midfield on his own. Stupid. Completely the wrong decision. Proven by the result. But Dan Neil needs to stop doing this. He needs to stop having this thing where he loses the ball. And I know we've discussed this week about signing a new contract and all that kind of stuff, but hey, he's never going to play Premier League football unless he cuts that sort of thing out. And I know we don't need him to play Premier League football at the moment, but we need him to play Championship football at least. And he cannot lose the ball in that area. And it's not once or twice he's done it. How many times has he done that, Dave? Why is he not learning?
Sorry, couldn't find the mute button there.
The listeners will be like, press it again, press it again.
Yeah, probably. I suppose the trying to have a balanced argument about it is it's how it's not high percentage football the way that we play football. It's pretty on the eye, and when it works, it's phenomenal. When it works, we've picked teams apart. Look at the goal going back all those months to the Reading goal. Absolutely phenomenal. And Dan Neil was involved in that. In fact, the pass out on the right wing into Jack Clarke's feet was unbelievable. And just tells you exactly what you see about his range of passing. It is great. Maybe it's an experience thing that comes with time and playing lots of football games, because that is, again, basics, and maybe it's just a case of he's always going to play that type of football and that way and take the risks and stuff. But maybe it just needs a bit of, and you would hope that they're doing that with him. They pull him to one side over the next couple of days and go, listen, Dan, the game's not quite going our way. The game's not going our way. It's this time where it's like a bit of a hot potato to go back to an old-fashioned phrase. And there's just times we need the ball. So, yes, in that situation, can we just go back 5 yards to a centre-half and play the ball out to the full-back? Can we just turn it around the corner and, not always try to have that killer pass? Yeah, but at the same time, are you then putting shackles on him for when you do want to play that way and when it is the right time to play that way because you've got a foot in the game? Hopefully it's just an experience thing. But listen, I think going back on everything, and I hate to sound like a broken record, I said it, and like you said, there's things that we've said which are completely bang on. There's things that we've said which are completely wrong. And there's things which are probably going to be proven right and wrong in the future as well. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, probably just about the time to keep everyone's feet on the ground. And listen, even I was getting a bit excited, thinking, oh, there could be a Wembley appearance on the 29th of May. And I think ultimately in January, the board have turned around and said, Tony, I'm sorry, we don't want to go up this year. Very quietly, we're just whispering it, but we're not going to back you. We're not going to pay an extra 200 grand for a player when they should be 1.3 million. We ain't paying 1.5. You just got to get on with it, mate.
It's hard. It's hard to kind of argue with that because they didn't do enough in January. So whether that was conscious or unconscious, they didn't do enough. And I think we touched on Dan Neil there as well. And we've touched a lot on Ross Stewart being missing for like a number of weeks, a number of times this season, because we've played without a striker for most of the season. But do you know who was the big miss for me today? I know we've touched on Roscoe a lot because it's part of it. as part of the entire reason. But dear God, we miss Corey Evans. And I've had my issues with the model for ages. I actually quite like it in principle. I think we've got a lot of good young players coming through, but our spine last season was with the good run under Alex Neil anyway, was Bailey Wright and Danny Bart at the back, which is 30-31. Corey Evans in midfield, which is 30-31. Pritch, 29. Roscoe, 26 as he was last season. So all of those players in the spine of the team are over the age of 24. I quite like the likes of like Roberts, Clark. Well, I don't quite like, I really like. And I even like the likes of Benetti, and I like what I've seen from Barr. I like what I've seen from even the small glimpses of like Ekwa and stuff like that, and Alessi when he's played at centre back. Serkin's obviously a very good player. So in principle, like I do get it, but the spine of the team has always been quite experienced, and the spine of that team's missing today because it's injured essentially, apart from Danny Bart, and one of them's been sent out on loan. And I touched on attitude before and said the attitude wasn't quite right, but like to be fair, in devil's advocate, the young boys have never really come up against this level of adversity before, and there's not really that many players on the pitch that can lead them through. And I think, look, we haven't mentioned his name yet, but Alex Neil, we went back on this, and I think I definitely went against popular opinion when I said that I kind of half understood why Alex Neil went, in the sense that I think he wasn't backed the way he thought he should have been backed, in terms of we needed more experience in the team in case X, Y, Z happened. I know a lot of people disagree with that and think Alex Neil was back and really hate Alex Neil. And the way he left was, look, like, we're now 6 or 7 months on from it, and like that, it rankled me today, remembering that fact that he walked out on Sunderland when we had a game and left his assistant in charge. Like, to be quite frank, you can get knotted for that, and that's me being kind. But I think he maybe did have a point when he said he wasn't back the way he felt he should have been, in the sense that we obviously needed a bit more experience. He wanted players, above the age of 24, and I think today proved why he probably wanted it. Because you kind of just get by with, like, let's be honest, Corey Evans has been fit more than we actually thought he would be throughout his time with Sunderland, because he came very injury prone. And we miss him massively when he doesn't play. I think someone said today we missed Corey Evans more than we missed Ross Stewart. And I know we had a big segment on Ross Stewart before, but I think that's probably a fair assessment. Like, in today's match specifically, we probably missed Corey even more. But we're just missing experience all over the park. Like today, Patterson 22, Bart 31. Then you've got Ballard 2021. Then you've got Alessi 20, give or take. Dan Neil 2021. Alongside him would have been Mishu the past few weeks, who's 19. You had Pritchard in the team today, who's 29, but outside of Pritch and Danny Bart, I don't think any of the players were over 24 today. And you saw what sometimes happens. And look, it's really hard to blame a bunch of kids, because they need to learn, but they need to learn from players alongside them that are experienced, like Corey Evans, Bailey Wright, Danny Bart, Ross Stewart, players who've been there and done it, and are not there at the minute, and there's no replacement for them either. And I think we touched on it earlier in the season and said we felt we needed a bit more of just nous. And I feel like today has been like the culmination of what I was kind of worried about for a long, long time. But it feels like you're either on board with the recruitment model 100%, or you're against it 100% without a middle ground. I hope people don't mind, but I'm probably in the middle. I think it works, but I don't think you can just go with players under the age of 24. But I guess I'm pissing it against the wind here, to be honest. We've been beat 5-1 of Stoke, so it doesn't really matter. Look, we're touching them a little bit before with Gelhardt, but I kind of wanted to come back to him a little bit before we go into the horrendous run of games we've got coming up. Look, I don't think he's a striker, to be blunt. I think he's a number 10. He got took off at half-time today, Dave. What do we do with Joe Gelhardt? Obviously, taking him off at half-time signals a lot of maybe what Tony thought about his performance, at least today. The fans are not on board with what he's playing at the minute. He's a young kid. You can quite evidently see he doesn't fit that role. Things are not going well for him at the minute. He looked like, for me, 5 minutes before half-time, he looked like he was ready to come off. That's a worry because that's confidence. But what do we do? He's going to be here at the end of the season, and it's just not working.
No, and again, it goes back to if this is the model and this is how we're doing it and this is the group of players that we've got, which is all very true. It comes down to the fact that we've got to protect him. The football club is to us fans is primary, of course it is, but to Joe Gelhardt and to Tony Mowbray, that it's a results business, but ultimately he has to be looked after. Listen, he's got to come out the team. You can't put him, for me anyway, personally, you can't put him in against Norwich next week. You absolutely cannot. It's gonna be another game which is not gonna be easy. You just can't start them. You can't, because ultimately the natives will start becoming restless because we're going to become frustrated now. It's as simple, if we're not already frustrated, we are going to become frustrated. Listen, the negativity starts coming through as much as we get excited when things are going really well. And because we've had that backbone and we've had that bit of fight and we've had that positivity even when we've been getting beat, today it kills all that. It kills all that for us as fans. It kills all that for them as professional footballers. And listen, if Stoke can do that to us at home, and Burnley did it for 45 minutes against us at home, I dread to think what could happen at Turf Moor. I dread to think. Yeah, but again, so what has the alternatives been since we've lost Roscoe, since Joe Gelhardt has come in? So off the top of my head, we've done what we've done today, the second half of kind of letting Fritsch and Roberts alternate between the false nine, if that's what you want to call it, and then trying to get Clark and Ahmad and the other one out of Fritsch and Roberts close to the other person. Listen, that didn't work today. There's no danger. It's easy when a 47-year-old Phil Jagielka doesn't have to worry about anyone running in behind him, because
I can't believe that how easily he handled Gelhardt today. Like, I mean, the kids, like what I'm saying, the kid Jagielka, sorry, is like 103.
Yeah, not far away.
Like, he played for England in the 70s. Like, get a grip of yourself, man. Just retire.
So the other, are you talking about Joe Gelhardt or are you talking about Phil?
I'm talking about Joe Gelhardt.
That's tongue in cheek, everyone. We're not that bad.
Yeah, don't retire, kid. You'll be all right.
So that was the one option we're pitching that moving through. We've had Jack Clark up top at times when we've missed Roscoe this year. And if I remember rightly, for the last 4 minutes of a game, we've had Ekwa up top for the old.
We've scored goals when Danny Bart's been up there, because you know what Danny Bart does in those couple of games? Like, when he's gone up front for 10 minutes, he occupies the defender. Because you know what's mad? When you've got a centre forward up front, he occupies defenders. I've just farted, by the way, and it stinks. Like, he occupies defenders. Like,
and this is just what I'm thinking. It's mad. I can't believe I'm saying it because he's played everywhere, and the only position he's going to have left to play is in goal if this happens. But maybe it's just worth Luke being up top.
That's where we're at, isn't it?
Yeah, I genuinely think it is. People are going to think I'm like, I normally like to think that I'm the analytical and sensible one to a degree, but I can't believe I'm suggesting it, but I genuinely think that's where we're at.
Have you heard the phrase "costume at straws"? I just feel the team's just dead disjointed at the minute, and I unfortunately feel like over the past few weeks when we've done these like review shows, it's been coming a bit. And I don't like being right when I'm negative. I don't. Of course, I don't. Like, who wants to be right when you think something might go? But I felt like today, maybe not 5-1, but I felt like it was sort of coming. I said 1-0 on the preview show, but it was total hope. I said I'm not. I said I wasn't confident, and I haven't been confident all day. But Dave, we could dig into it all day, mate. But I just feel like at this point, people are probably just sick. We've pretty much done this because, well, it's just what we do in it. Like you kind of just do it when you win games. I'd much rather I didn't. It's nice to chat with you in that, but I'd rather not. I would much prefer just getting blotto. I can't really be bothered to edit, and I'm not in a state to edit, to be honest. And that's kind of what something drives you to at times. And oh, Graham, ever the professional. But look, just to finish, Dave, next 4 games just doesn't get easier, like at all. Norwich, Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton. That's a horrible run of fixtures. I'm looking at the table. Look, we're like 17 points clear of the relegation zone, 10th. I don't think we're going to get relegated. I don't think we're going to get really dragged into it either, to be honest. Even if you're in negative, I don't think we're going to get dragged 17 points adrift. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to drop 17 points. I think teams below us are not going to pick up 17 points. But are we now in like March and just on the beach? Is that it?
I think so, mate, aren't we? Unfortunately. Which is... Listen.
On the beach! On the beach! Yeah, yeah, yeah! On the beach! On the beach!
The simple fact of the matter is... next... Listen, why am I talking about next season already? For fuck's sake.
There's pressure next season, though, you know. Like, next season's not a free hit. Next season becomes, right, what happens now then?
This is what I was just about to say. Like, it now becomes about progress. And we have already proved for 60% of the season that we are good enough to be in and around the top 6. So next season, that has to progress to at least 70% of the season. 3/4 of the season, we have to be in and around, picking up good results, improving on last year. It's imperative, because anything else, and this is where we talk about Sunderland being a big club, even if it is within our own fan base or whatever, there is going to be an expectation next season. It's simple as that.
There should be.
There should be. Totally agree. Like, the foundations have been built, haven't they? And hopefully the recruitment model is looking at certain frailties that we have within certain areas of the squad. Obvious for us all to see. We've ranted about it for the last half an hour. It's really important, because if it doesn't kick on, we could be 12 games into next season. Mowbray could be under pressure, and we're right back to square one. So yeah, I think we are on the beach again, unfortunately. The only thing I'm hoping for is, because literally Brad owes me 100 quid if we finish 10th and we've had a flirt with the playoffs this season. We are definitely on the beach. On the beach.
I don't know how I'm going to edit this. Dave, thanks very much. Sunderland, right? I hate everything.
Yeah, me too.
Bye.